Good morning everyone. Today we will be starting off with another chapter, that is chapter 13. Okay, talks about India after independence. Okay, the first two chapters, chapter 11 and 12, we talked about the Indian national movement. Okay, the fight against the British. We discussed about the first and the second phase. Now today we will be talking about India gaining independence. Okay, for almost a decade, okay, India was under the control of the British domination. Before that, kings and queens were dominating the Indian scenario. They were ruling over the country, okay, the kings and queens. Later on, when the British came, they took hold of the country, and it lasted for almost a decade, okay. And even after the British win, India had to face major challenges because India was all alone now. Okay, India had to face so many difficulties in order to rebuild the country, in order to bring back the country to life again. Okay, so India, there were two main important fields which India had to focus. Okay, the first challenge was integration of the princely states. No doubt, India was under the dominance of the British. Okay, so in the map you can see the red areas are the British dominated areas, okay, whereas the yellow areas are those areas or territories in India which was under kings and queens. Okay, even after the British dominated India, there were still princes as well as princesses, queens and kings ruling small territories. Okay, so once India got independence, it was a huge duty in terms of our reformers and framers of the constitution, okay, as well as for the leaders to unite India into one. Okay, there will not be any kings and queens ruling India. It should be a democratic form of country. So what they did was, the main problem was how to unite this princely state into the dominion of India. Okay, that was the first problem. The second was, okay, what happened when India got independence? Partition took place. Okay, the Muslims, when half of the Muslims went to Pakistan, and the Hindus from Pakistan came to India, so they became as refugees. Okay, so the problem now was how to look after these refugees right after India got independence. Okay, so that was also a major factor, okay, had to deal with. And the third was to solve the economic problem. Okay, the third was to solve the economic problem which was there in the country. Okay, and also to solve the fourth point. If we look into the fourth point, then it was, the problem was how do we start, okay, how do we start or how do we draft the constitution? So these were the four main problems that India faced right after the independence of the country. Okay, so today we'll be looking into it one by one, okay, and we'll try to understand the problems and how Indians they tackled the problems after the independence. Okay, now let's look into the first point, that is the integration of the princely state. How the princely states were brought together into the Indian Union. Okay, so there were roughly around 550 princely states. Okay, that is huge amount of princely states. Okay, so these yellow portions are those areas which were under the control of the prince and nawabs. Okay, so they were around 550 princely states which were located in India. Okay, each of these princely state was ruled by nawabs, okay, and maharajas. Okay, and what happened was the Indian people, okay, the leaders of the Indian country, okay, they wanted these kings and maharajas to join the Indian Union. Okay, so they tried to persuade them. Okay, they tried to make connection by talking with them, so that they will join the Indian Union. Okay, so what happened was there was one man, okay, called as Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, okay, or we can also call him as the Iron Man of India. Okay, so what he did was he contributed a lot, okay, and he used his skills and his tactics in order to persuade, okay, most of the Maharajas and the Nawabs to join the Indian Union, and so he was successful in most of it, okay, and because of which he was called as Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. And recently a statue of him was erected in India, okay, which was known as the Iron Pillar. Okay, he was known as the Iron Man of India. So a statue of him was made in order to honor him for what he did for India. Okay, whereas he was able to bring so many princely state under the Indian dominion. Okay, whereas the rulers of Kashmir, Junagadh and Hyderabad remained as an independent princely state under the Maharajas and the Nawabs. Okay, and it was only later that the three princely states, that is Kashmir, Junagadh and Hyderabad, joined the Indian Union. Okay, the next topic is rehabilitation of the refugees. Okay, how and why refugees emerged in India. Okay, refugees emerged in India because right after India was to go for independence, on the eve of the independence, what happened? Okay, partition of India took place, okay, where the Muslim inhabitants, they had to go to Pakistan, okay, because the Muslims were demanding for a separate nation. Okay, so what happened was all the Muslim forces from India, they had to go to Pakistan, and the Hindus, okay, they had to come back to India. So that was the problem. Okay, so when huge amount of the Hindu population from Pakistan came to India, they became as refugees. Okay, they were jobless, they were homeless, because see, they are coming from a new country to another country, so they do not have a home of their own, they do not have jobs. So what happened? Now the new government which was formed, now the independent government which was formed, okay, they had to look after all this. Okay, and next is solving economic difficulties. The government also had to face economic, they had to solve the problems of economic difficulties. Okay, so what happened? India is like one of the major producers of rice and wheat, okay, during the British time. But what happened was, when the partition took place, most of the rice and wheat producing areas, okay, most of the rice and wheat producing areas went to the side of Pakistan. Okay, so India, the rice and wheat which was produced heavily when the British were there, now those territories went under the hands of the Pakistan area. Okay, so what happened was, as soon as that happened, okay, it led to food shortages in India. Now most of the Indian territories, they did not produce rice and wheat, they were focusing on producing indigo, jute. Okay, only this Pakistan area was producing much of the rice and wheat which was needed by India. So as soon as border was demarcated, as soon as India and Pakistan was divided, what happened? The Indian people started facing food shortages. Okay, and many Indian industries also, they started facing difficulties because they did not have raw materials in their hands. Okay, so what happened was, irrigation facilities were also affected. Okay, you might be wondering how irrigation facilities were affected, because the river Indus, okay, the river Indus, which has connection with India and Pakistan. Okay, what happened was, when Pakistan was a part of India, the river Indus was supporting the lifeline of India. But when it was divided, much part of the river went into the hands of the Pakistani area, and so they could not provide proper irrigation facility. Irrigation means bringing water to their fields. Okay, this was not brought in a sufficient manner. Next is framing of a constitution. Okay, once a nation has been independent, once a nation has been made, Okay, they needed a constitution, means a set of rules and regulations which is supposed to be followed by all the people of the country. Okay, it's like a rule book for the country. It would be like a rule book so that everyone would be following that according to the book. Okay, so once a country got independence and they adopt a democratic form of government, they need a constitution. Okay, so the chairman of the drafting committee, okay, in order to draft the constitution, they needed a chairman and a set of people, okay, in order to decide and in order to frame the constitution. So Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, okay, was the chairman of the drafting committee. Okay, so what he did was he played a very important role, decisive role, okay, in framing the constitution. So what he did was he studied the constitutions of the other democratic countries like USA. He borrowed some of the constitutions from England, from Australia. Okay, all this were brought together. Okay, all this were brought together, and then a constitution was formed. Okay, because of which he was known as the father of the Indian Constitution. Okay, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was known as the father of the Indian Constitution. Okay, and the committee completed the constitution, okay, on 26 November 1949, and later, okay, the Constitution of India came into form, or it was adopted by the Indian Union on 26 January, okay, 1950. Since that particular day, okay, what happened was, since the constitution came into existence on that particular day, 26 January was celebrated as the Republic Day of India. Okay, until today we are celebrating 26 January, okay, as the Republic Day of India. Some of the works which comes under the constitution are equality before the law. Okay, so the Constitution of India declares all the citizens, whether they may be male or female, okay, they should have equal status before the law. Okay, they should be equal. Okay, whether they come from different castes, okay, whether they come from different religious background, okay, maybe gender, male and female, okay, they should all be looked upon equally by the law. Okay, there should be no discrimination, as well as there should be no pardoning of one group or the other because they are from they are from a different caste. It should not be made like that. Okay, there should be equality on all stages. Okay, whether it may be in terms of job, okay, whether it may be in terms of looking after a person, okay, maybe giving facility to one person. There should be no discrimination. Okay, so according to our constitution, there should be equality before the law. Okay, the point here, next point is special privileges for disadvantage of the Indians. Okay, so what happens here is India has a long history and a long past. Okay, but what happened here is there were a lot of discrimination even before the British arrived, or any other foreign rulers came. Okay, India was facing so much discrimination in terms of gender as well as in terms of caste. Okay, and even after the British arrived, even after other colonial rulers came, okay, Indians were suffering in their own hands because of the customs, traditions they have created. Okay, and so in order to uplift the condition in an independent India, okay, the constitution also gives special privileges, okay, for the disadvantaged Indians. Okay, maybe they may be discriminated, okay, or deprived of their rights. Okay, so what happens here is the constitution gives them special power, okay, maybe reservation of seats in their job, okay, reservation of seats in the legislative assembly, or maybe for any kind of government jobs or private jobs, relaxation has been made, okay, so that the government would also at least uplift the condition of the people living in the country. Okay, because they have been discriminated, they have been not looked after nicely, so what they do is they give privileges. Example, you are trying to get a job. So we are from the ST background. So what happened? There is some concession given for the STs, for the SCs, okay, for the OBCs, so that they would come to par, or they would also achieve something, so that they will be able to uplift the condition of the society. Okay, next is universal adult franchise. Okay, the constitution also granted that all the citizens of India, if they receive, okay, if they go up to, in your textbook it's written 21 years of age, okay, but now it has been reduced to 18 years of age. Okay, if they turn to 18 years of age, they have the right to go and vote for the rightful candidate. Okay, so now freedom has been given to anyone who attains 18 years of age. They can go and cast their votes for the candidates they want. Okay, there are three leads. Okay, there are three leads in the Indian constitution, okay, so that powers would be divided. Okay, the first is the union lease. Okay, here it is looked solely by the central government. Okay, the problems or the difficulties which is faced, okay, in the union list, it is looked by the central government. Number two is the state list, where any kind of problem arises in the state government would look after it. Next is the concurrent list. In the concurrent list, both the center as well as the state would look after the affairs and matters of the country. Okay, if any problem arises, the union and the state government would look after it, and then they will try to solve the problem. So the initial problems were solved. Okay, initial problem like framing the constitution, looking after the economy, as well as rehabilitating the refugees, as well as the integration of the princely states were looked after. Now the problem that Indian government had to face was, how do we plan out a sustainable country? How do we look after the country? What should be the plans in order to look after the country? Okay, and so what happened was, in order to achieve a successful independent country, the leaders of the country, they thought of forming a planning commission of India. Okay, a planning commission where they would plan out and then they would execute the work which is given. Okay, so what happened was, a planning commission was started. Okay, it was this planning commission of India was set up in 1950. Okay, so what they did was 5 years plan. What they do is, example, from 2021 to 2025, they will set up a goal. Okay, say that they want to make roads in the country. So what they will do is, in these 5 years, okay, 5 years plan, this plan is for 5 years. So what they will do is, they will make the road all through the 5 years. Okay, next 5 years, 2025 to 30, they might want to upgrade the education system. They might want to upgrade the infrastructure of India. Okay, so what they will do is, in the 5 years span, they will plan and then they will execute it. Okay, so that was likewise, okay, the planning commission worked in that manner. Okay, they will set up the 5-year plan and then they will work for a span of few years for that. Okay, and during the initial years, what happened was, they focus on heavy industries, okay, like steel and iron industries, because this would benefit the Indian country. As well as Jawaharlal Nehru also focused on building dams, okay, dams for generating electricity and for providing water. Okay, and he says that building a dam is like temple of modern India. Temples is like building temples of modern India, because these dams would benefit the Indians on a longer scale. Okay, and so what happened was, the main aim of the planning commission was to plan out what should be done within a span of year. Okay, and they would execute and do that. Okay, so in order to make developed country, okay, the planning commission played a very important role in this affair as well. Next, we have an independent foreign policy. Okay, so India, they wanted to have good relationship and good they wanted to keep a close knit with the other countries of the world as well, okay, because they cannot go to war with other countries. Okay, India could not afford to go to war with other countries, so what happened was they made a good relationship with the other countries. Okay, so that is all about the Indian independence, okay, and independent foreign policy. Next we have the success of the country. Okay, so India, okay, so by around now 60 years, almost like by 2007, 60 years have been accomplished after India got independence. Okay, so by 2007 you can see a large number of success made by India in different fields. Okay, so in India people, they practice different language, speaking different language. Okay, so what happened was different religious background, different language speaking people all stayed united in a country like India for almost 6 decades. Okay, and so it created a diversified country. Okay, so India was successful in in controlling as well as in uniting this huge number of other religious people staying in India, as well as people speaking different language, uniting them and letting them stay in one country. Okay, so India was successful in establishing a diversified country, and India has so many religious groups in the country. In one country there's so many religious groups. Okay, so India was successful. Okay, India was successful even in having a secular as well as a democratic nation. Also, India has an independent judiciary. Okay, so all these factors also contributed to the success of the country. Also, India was successful in harnessing nuclear energy. Okay, providing energy through the nuclear system. Okay, so what happened was India was successful in many factors and regions as well. Now, the challenges which India had to face in these current times. Okay, now what challenges does India need to face? Okay, so the major challenges that India had to face was India is supposed to face now is tackling poverty. Okay, so India has a huge amount of poor population, so India has to tackle that. India has to find out means in order to remove poverty in India. Okay, and also there is a huge amount of inequalities between different sections of the society or between gender. Okay, more opportunities given to the male members, and there, because of which we have an unequal society. Okay, now India has to find out means and ways in order to tackle this kind of situation. Next is education. Okay, a large number of Indian children, okay, in rural Indias, they are not educated well. Okay, so education plays a very important role, and so in the major challenges that India has to face now is educating the huge amount of the Indian population. Okay, and so because of which they are starting up initiatives. Okay, they are starting up initiatives and educating the the child or the children of India up to the age free and fair education up to the age of 14 years. Okay, so next is, these are some of the challenges. Okay, these are some of the challenges that India had to face. Okay, there are a lot of challenges the country had to face, but these are basic challenges that India had to face in order to make a sustainable and as well as in order to make India a developed country. No doubt, okay, India after independence, they were able to secure so much. Okay, they were able to tackle so much situation and solve the problems, but now India has to tackle this kind of problems in order to make India a developed as well as a more sustainable country. Okay, so that is all for this chapter. Okay, so thank you and have a nice day.